Here's what's coming up on the Peak Financial Freedom Show with Jim and Dan.
For registered investment advisor, we do believe in the stock market for a portion of your money, but you do have to understand the risk, and you have to understand how to put risk mitigation measures in place to help derail some of those losses.
So if you have these monies in an IRA and you're told don't use it to create income guaranteed for as long as you live, isn't that what you want? Isn't that the number one thing you want to happen with your IRA? Not have it run out at any time, regardless of market volatility, regardless of how long you live, or regardless of what it earns?
You are in retirement. Now all of a sudden you cannot lose your money because you're using your assets for income, and that income has to last your entire lifetime.
You're watching the Peak Financial Freedom Show with Jim and Dan, Sacramento's retirement television.
Hey, thanks for tuning in this week.
We got 30 minutes of great information just for you.
Don't go anywhere. The show starts right now.
I'm so excited about this week's episode of Fix Your Money because it gives us a chance to tell people the details we go through to build a plan. And we know planning can seem complicated, but in reality, we try to make it as easy as possible by, for the first time, providing people the information they need to make the right decisions. So we're going to look at this gentleman. We're going to call him Dean in this example. And Dean, let's pretend like he's 61 and he worked at a tech company. He wants to retire at 63, so it's only a couple years away, and that will happen fast, so he needs to make good planning decisions right now. He's going to receive 2 small pensions and some Social Security. He has an old annuity that we're actually going to use in the plan. We're not going to get rid of it. It will work in his plan, so we're going to keep it and just make it part of what his retirement is going to look like. Yep. He doesn't think he has enough saved because in his mind, he's only saved $1.4 million of assets, and he's worried about everything. This guy's a worrywart. He worries about when can he retire. He doesn't know. He thinks he probably has to work till 67. He's worried about the market crashing and losing a ton of money like he did before. He wants to reduce his risk if possible. He's worried about his money running out because he can't imagine then not being able to live his lifestyle. He's worried about being poor someday. He's worried about paying too much in income taxes, and he's worried that his budget is too high at $6,000 a month. He has no kids, so it's just himself he has to worry about. He has a broker, but he's never done any planning, and he really wants a written plan because he hears us talking about it on TV and the radio, and he wants a written plan. It's the only thing he thinks that'll make him feel comfortable.
Yeah. Well, Dan, the first thing we do in this analysis for all of our clients is we have to do a risk analysis. Because you mentioned worry previously. Well, I think many of the viewers right now listening to our show are worrying about the same types of things. They're worried about the market crashing. They're worried about fees. They're worried about their money lasting.
And they all want to know how to protect it against losses.
Exactly. Well, the first thing we have to do is we have to do a risk analysis. So we use an outside third-party research company to do this on our behalf and on our client's behalf. In this example, this client wanted very little risk, but if you notice here on the screen, they had a 51.9% risk factor. What that means is if we have another market crash like we did in 08, this client is projected to lose about 52% of his assets, which is $731,000, almost half of the money he has invested right now. He needs a 107% rate of return if he loses that level of assets just to get back to even. This was devastating to this particular gentleman when he saw this because he had no idea he had this level of risk.
When you see that, some people might be watching it saying, oh, I don't have that much risk. That's too high. There's no way I'm approaching that much risk. What's the chance people watching have a high level of risk in their portfolio right now, like a diversified portfolio of mutual funds, for example?
Well, I'll answer that question, Dan, by stating that we have probably met with thousands of people over the last many years that we've been doing this collectively. And I've never met a client that really understood the risk they had unless they had all cash in the bank, right? So this is not unusual for us to see these types of risk levels. After we remodeled the portfolio, we reduced his projected risk down from 51.9% down to 7.1%, much more manageable, and we reduced his potential losses from $731,000 down to about $100,000. The client still has risk in the portfolio. We're not getting rid of the risk. What we're trying to is mitigate that risk with the analysis that we do. And we only need a 7.6% rate of return to try to get this client back to even in this example.
No, and that's great because I think for him, he didn't want to ever lose or have the opportunity to lose more than $100,000. He felt comfortable. That was his max. So that's one of the nice things. We actually are able to design a plan that caps out the projected maximum loss someone could have based on the type of portfolio we try to design.
Yeah, and we say projected because we don't have any control over the markets, but when we do these analysis, it puts everything in line and establishes a baseline so now we can start planning from this.
Exactly. Well, after we do a risk analysis, everyone always wants to know, how am I going to use my pile of assets to create income that's going to last for as long as I live? And is that income stream going to be enough?
Right.
Is it going to provide for everything I need? So we then are actually going to create a lifetime income projection, and it might look complicated. There's all these numbers on a sheet, but we actually simplify everything so much because on one page you're going to now be able to see your financial life, and we think that's kind of key to simplify things and make it understandable. Because right now, how many people are really understanding their money as they're watching this?
They don't.
They just don't. So imagine if on one page we showed where each income source is going to come from for the next 30 years, for as long as you live. If we show then whether it's a Social Security or a pension, or we add in all your assets and we show how you're actually going to use your assets and how much income we want to draw off those assets to produce that income, and then be able to show you, in Dean's case, in this hypothetical example, that he possibly could retire then at 63, because if you look at that top red circle, and you go from the year 2019 all the way over to the right-hand side, we're going to generate him $122,000 of gross income.
Yep.
That's gross income before taxes. Net of taxes, he's probably going to be somewhere around $9,000 to $9,200 a month.
Yep.
Well, if his budget's $6,000, can he retire in 2 years?
Well, yeah, because you're going to generate excess cash flow of over $3,000 a month, right? And what do people do with excess cash flow? Well, they can spend it, they can save it, they can help their grandkids out. And also, everybody's concerned about inflation and how that impacts their income long term. If you're generating excess cash flow on a monthly basis and you save some of that money, it helps guard against inflation in the future as well.
Exactly. Well, if you look at the second circle at the bottom, 2027, we now have modified where the income is going to come from at that point, and we've generated $52,000 of guaranteed lifetime income using an insurance company to provide that lifetime guarantee, keeping his income right at that $120,000 to $122,000 level for the rest of his life, which is what he wanted. He wanted to feel comfortable. And it's the only way for you to understand your money is to have it all laid out for you like this. And we know you don't have this. You get statements you don't understand. If you really would like some help and like to build a plan like this, feel free. Just call our office. We'd be glad to work with you to put this type of plan together.
Yep. And remember, at Peak Financial Freedom Group, we fix your money.
You're watching the Peak Financial Freedom Show with Jim and Dan, Sacramento's retirement television.
Hi, I'm Dan Ahmed. My partner Jim Files and I are co-founders of Peak Financial Freedom Group. We are proud sponsors of this show. As investment advisor representatives of our own RIA, we are legally bound by a fiduciary duty to our advisory clients. Specifically, we owe our advisory clients an affirmative duty of utmost good faith, requiring us to provide full disclosure of all material facts and obligating us to employ reasonable care to avoid anything misleading. We design customized written retirement income plans for retirees and soon-to-be retirees. If you've saved a lot of money for retirement and don't want to lose it, don't want it to run out, and don't want to make a mistake with it, stay tuned. You're going to love the show. We want to help you protect your assets against large stock market losses, earn competitive returns without taking excessive risk, and create dependable monthly income that will last for as long as you live. Our goal is to help you stop worrying about your money so much by building you a customized written retirement income plan. We put everything in writing. And here's the best news. We will not charge you for your plan. You will never feel any obligation or pressure to work with us. It's always your choice. But if you do decide to become our client and you're looking for some growth without taking excessive risk, we get paid advisory fees on the money we invest for you. If on some of your funds you're looking for protection against stock market losses and need dependable lifetime income, and we use an annuity as part of your plan, we are paid commissions. That's why we don't have to charge you additional planning fees to create your customized, comprehensive written retirement income plan. Before you invest any money with us, we will tell you all the fees you will pay in writing. We believe in transparency. And after we build your plan, you won't worry about your money so much. Sit back and enjoy the show. Thanks for joining us.
You're watching the Peak Financial Freedom Show with Jim and Dan, Sacramento's retirement television.
Hi, and welcome to this week's Retirement Roundtable. Gentlemen, we have a really important topic. Folks watching, they've accumulated a wonderful dollar. They've been great savers. They may have sat at the table of sacrifice to make sure their families are taken care of, and now it's their time. They're in that retirement red zone, Jim. And this is a really important conversation that we need to have because the thought process needs to change when we're in that retirement red zone. Yes?
Absolutely correct. And there's really two shades of that red zone, right? There's the light red. That's if you're within 5 to 10 years of retirement. You have to be very, very careful because all of a sudden, if you lose a lot of money, you may not recover. But the deep red zone is you are in retirement. Now all of a sudden, you cannot lose your money because you're using your assets for income, and that income has to last your entire lifetime. If you make a financial mistake at that point in your life, you may never recover. And if you don't do it correctly, what do you do every day? You have anxiety and you worry about your money. You worry you're going to run out of money, and that's not a
That's no way to go through life.
It's no fun.
We like to sleep at night,
It's no
don't
fun.
we? Hey, what are some of the other things, Dan, that people need to consider once they're in the red zone? Because the mindset needs to change there, yes?
Oh, completely. Because while they were saving money for retirement, we call it stage one, asset accumulation. That's when you're working, saving money. You have enough time on your hands to recover. Now they're in stage two if you're retired, and you're in asset preservation, income distribution mode, stage two, where you have to take less risk, maybe no risk, and you have to create dependable income that's going to last for as long as you live. More importantly, let's get a whole plan together that says this is exactly what you're doing and why you're doing it. You can't invest the same way like when you were 40. Because what if you now have an aggressive portfolio that would lose 50% if the market crashes? You're not going to recover. So you have to do things almost completely different, 180-degree different.
So, Jim, let me ask you a question. Are all advisors created equal? Because not all advisors can help you get through retirement. A lot of them are good at the accumulation piece, right? But you probably need to get a specialist when you get to that, I need someone to get me through retirement piece. Fair statement?
A great statement, because most consumers believe all advisors are equal. They're not. There are advisors that do different things. They have different skill sets. There's very few people that we have met, and matter of fact, we are mentors and coaches for some very, very large financial firms that actually do what we do, that puts together a comprehensive retirement income plan, tax plan, and beneficiary plan. Puts together all the supporting documentation required in order to make that client comfortable in retirement. How much money can they lose? What are the fees they're paying? Where their income is going to come from? Will the income increase? Will it decrease? Will it ever go away? What taxes are going to pay? What assets should they draw upon in order to reduce those taxes in retirement? How much can they potentially leave to the beneficiaries after they've used their assets for income? That all has to be put together in a very comprehensive plan that's very understandable and easy for the client to review and to comprehend.
You know, I'm glad you brought that up earlier about training and mentoring. One of the things that you guys both do every year is you train and mentor hundreds and hundreds of advisors. You were just in Dallas for a big one, right? So training advisors for the red zone is really important, because if your advisor isn't aware of there are things that we need to do past the accumulation phase of your retirement, they might not be giving you the best advice going into and perhaps through retirement. Fair statement?
No, fair statement. We find that across the board because we work with a group that has about 7,000 advisors nationally, and very few of them know how to create the comprehensive retirement income plans that are necessary to help people reduce their risk and create that dependable income, and very few are putting it in writing. And if you don't get it in writing, the problem is you can't trust it. I wouldn't trust buying a house without getting a deed of trust. You can't trust your medical insurance unless you get your policy. You have to have things in writing, and people just aren't trained. So that's one of the things Jim and I do. We give back and we help these advisors learn exactly what they need to do so they can help their clients the same way we do, but now they can get this help across the United States.
Dan, Jim, thanks so much. Hey, if you want more information, or you might be in the retirement red zone, give us a call right now. We know you have some questions to ask, and we would love to get you some solutions. Or go to our website, and don't go anywhere. Lots of great stuff to come.
You're watching the Peak Financial Freedom Show with Jim and Dan, Sacramento's retirement television.
Are you worried about taking too much risk, paying high fees, creating dependable monthly income, your money running out? You can stop worrying about your money by meeting with a full-service retirement planning firm, not just someone who invests your money. Call right now to receive your free, no-obligation Peak Retirement Navigator review that includes a total fee audit, a risk stress test showing your potential losses, a retirement income analysis showing how long your money will last, and the steps to create a customized written retirement income plan. Our clients typically have between $1 million to $20 million of assets, but if you've saved at least $500,000 for retirement, we will meet with you free of charge to see if we can possibly help. You'll get free educational copies of Mama's Secret Recipe for Retirement Success we co-wrote with Jack Canfield from Chicken Soup for the Soul, and our beautiful, inspiring 100 Shades of Financial Freedom. So don't wait. call the phone number on your screen right now. You have nothing to lose, there's no pressure, there's no risk, and it's free. And remember, at Peak Financial Freedom Group, we fix your money.
You're watching the Peak Financial Freedom Show with Jim and Dan, Sacramento's retirement television.
Welcome to this week's episode of Peak University. Today we're going to talk about how do you want your money to actually act? Very important topic. We actually cover this in detail, Jim, in our latest best-selling book with Jack Canfield. He's the guy who wrote Chicken Soup for the Soul that sold over 500 million copies worldwide. The new book is titled Mama's Secret Recipe for Retirement Success, and we teach people that you actually can make your money act the way you want. It's not the old school way of saying, put your money in there, don't watch it, write it out. It's you can actually make your money act any way you want.
That's right. And there are two myths, Dan. Number one, writing out the market, you'll be fine. And number two, you're going to get a high rate of return of 10% if you stay in the stock market. And we hear this often from people coming in that are seeking second opinions from our firm. Those two myths are not accurate.
So you're saying those are falsities?
Well, they're falsities unless you live 200 years in retirement, right? And you have enough time to do this kind of stuff. But if you're in retirement or close to retirement, you have to be really careful. And you better not be relying on those two things to get you through retirement.
Well, think about, have you been told these things before? Have you been told it's the best thing ever that you should always write out the market? If the market goes down, hang in there, take the loss, it'll come back. And have you also been told, hang in there because you're going to get a 10% or higher rate of return? And we think there's a high probability you were told both of those things many, many, many times. So Jim, let's debunk those myths and show what's really happened in the stock market from the year 2000 through the year 2018. That's a time period of 19 years. This is a graph of the S&P 500 index and what has happened in that time period. Go ahead and start explaining that.
Well, let's assume back in 2000, you invested in the S&P 500 and it was at almost 1,500. Then we had 3 consecutive years where the market crashed. That was the technology bust or the dot-com bust, where the market went down about 50%. So you're at the bottom right here. Then it took almost 5 years for the market to come back up. So you're back up finally in 2007. And if you're lucky, if you paid no fees, paid no taxes, and took no money out of your portfolio, you might be back to even. Then what happens, Dan?
Well, think about it. When you're in this time period right here, as soon as you start losing money, you go to your broker, you've lost 10% of that 50%. And you go to your broker and you already are freaking out. You're worried, you're scared, and you tell your broker, I'm worried of these losses. And the broker says, don't worry, it's going to be okay. Hang in there, ride it out. Everything's going to work out okay. You're going to get these great rates of return if you ride it out, if you hang in there. So then you go in the second year, you've lost another 20%. Now you're really freaked out. And you tell your broker again, I'm worried about my money. I don't want to take this type of loss or risk. And he says again, don't worry, hang in there, ride it out. And now you're down at 50% of a loss after the next year by taking that advice. Finally, at the end of 3 years, it starts going back up. And it climbs back up to 100%, and you finally are back to even maybe by 2007. And at that point, think about how happy you were at that moment. You were overjoyed. You're so happy. You're relieved. But what does it mean? You're relieved that you made 0%.
Right.
0% for that 7 to 8 year time period. And should you be relieved and happy to make 0%?
No, not at all. Remember, you're taking 100% risk in this example if you're in the stock market. And it's not that we don't believe in the stock market. We're registered investment advisors. We do believe in the stock market for a portion of your money. But you do have to understand the risk, and you have to understand how to put risk mitigation measures in place to hope derail some of those losses.
Yeah, because we don't want you to be naked in the market. As you asked what happened before then finally you recovered. The market went down another 50% in the 2008 financial crisis. You needed 100% gain just to get back up to even again. Now for 13 years, if you started at 1469 in the stock market in 2000 and you end at 1469 in the stock market in January 2013, 13 years later, what's happened to your money?
You made no money. And people look at that, well, that's not true. It is true. That's mathematically perfect. That's exactly what happened if you had your money in the S&P 500 or an S&P type of fund during that period of time. And this is presuming you paid no fees, which is almost impossible.
So if you wrote it out like you were told, you would have then ended up way up here at 2506 in the market, December 31st, 2018. But the problem is that calculates out to an average compounded increase per year of 2.85%. We're going to say it again. You would have earned 2.85% per year for 19 years in the S&P 500 index if you would have wrote it out. Now, during this time period, it looks like you made this huge gain, but you didn't. 2.85% was the average increase. A lot of you right now are probably thinking, oh, Dan and Jim, that can't be right because my account grew substantially during this time period when I was working. Well, your account might have increased in value, but it didn't increase in value by a huge rate of return. It couldn't have. Why did it increase in value?
Because most people watching right now were working during that period of time and they were making contributions to their own retirement plan. Your own money made your account value go up more likely than your rate of return. Because this is assuming you're able to get S&P 500 returns, and most people aren't. The S&P 500 is a peer index. It's really difficult to do this type of return over a long period of time.
So what if someone was saving $20,000 a year for 19 years during this time period?
Right.
Then how much should their account gone up just by adding those 20 years for 19 years?
Well, they would have about $400,000, right, Dan?
Exactly.
Over that 20-year period.
So the account would have grown by that amount,
Yeah.
but they probably didn't earn much more than that.
That's right.
So if you have any questions about what we talked about today, feel free to call the office or go to our website. We got a lot more information like this for you right there.
You're watching the Peak Financial Freedom Show with Jim and Dan, Sacramento's retirement television.
Do you have an actual plan, or do you just receive statements from where your money is invested? Too few retirees and pre-retirees don't have a plan and are not prepared for retirement. A great way to get a clear, written retirement plan is to meet with a full-service retirement planning firm, not just someone who invests your money. If a clear, written retirement plan is something you want, be one of the first 5 callers right now, and you'll receive our Peak Retirement Navigator review. Here's what you'll receive from your Peak Retirement Navigator. Number 1, a fee audit exposing your direct and hidden fees inside your portfolio. Number 2, a risk report showing you how much you could lose in a market decline. Number 3, a risk analysis to protect your investment from large stock market losses. And number 4, an income plan showing you how much income you will need in retirement. So don't wait. Call the phone number on the screen right now for your no-cost, no-obligation Peak Retirement Navigator review, which includes your Retirement Survival Toolkit. You have nothing to lose, there is no pressure, there is no risk, and it's free. And remember, at Peak Financial Freedom Group, we fix your money.
You're watching the Peak Financial Freedom Show with Jim and Dan, Sacramento's retirement television.
Hi, and welcome to this week's Retirement True or False. As usual, I've got some great questions this week. Jim, I'm going to begin with you. And my first question is, I should never use my IRA to buy an annuity to provide me safety of principal and guaranteed lifetime income. True or false?
False. But you don't look at it, is it IRA or non-IRA money? You look at it, what are you trying to achieve with that money? Are you trying to achieve no market risk? Are you trying to achieve guaranteed income for you and possibly your spouse? Are you trying to get a modest rate of return off that money? If those are your objectives, it doesn't matter if it's an IRA or not an IRA, you can purchase a fixed indexed annuity. Now you can't confuse a fixed indexed annuity with other annuities. These are very specialized types of products, and you have to make sure your objectives match what you're trying to achieve with your money.
When you think about, if you have a big IRA now, it probably came from a 401k rollover or a 403b rollover or a 457 rollover. So it was money you saved while you were working for one specific purpose, to be able to use it at retirement to create income that would never run out. So if you have these monies in an IRA and you're told don't use it to create income guaranteed for as long as you live, isn't that what you want? Isn't that the number one thing you want to happen with your IRA? Not have it run out at any time, regardless of market volatility, regardless of how long you live, or regardless of what it earns?
Dan, my next question is for you. If my number one fear is running out of money during retirement, I should invest a large percentage of my assets in stocks and mutual funds. True or false?
That's pretty false, because at this point, everyone hears that you should be less aggressive as you hit retirement. One of the big problems is, though, we think most brokerage firms out there, most national big firms, are having clients take way too much risk with their portfolios. Because let's say somehow someone came in to a big brokerage firm and they had 100% stock portfolio, mutual funds, for example. And the brokerage firm says, okay, we're going to reduce you from 100% stocks down to 50% stocks and 50% bonds. That portfolio, even though in the mind of a consumer has greatly less risk, it has significant still risk inside the portfolio, because they could still lose 30% if we have another 2008 financial crisis, based on all the analysis we run when it comes to doing a true risk analysis or a risk audit, a risk stress test. It'll show that if the market crashes, they're still going to lose 30%. Well, if they have $3 million, what does that mean they have to be willing to accept?
$900,000 loss in that example. I want the viewers to understand, we believe in the stock market long term. We believe in the bond market potentially long term. We own our own registered investment advisory firm. We diversify clients' portfolios, and if they're willing to take risk, there's money that goes in that bucket, but we want to understand understand the risk before they put money in that bucket. And there are other buckets we're going to put money into in order to really diversify their portfolio, mitigate their risk based on what they're trying to achieve with their money. So it's not that we don't believe in stocks and bonds. That's not what we're saying. We believe in a properly constructed portfolio to mitigate your risk as you're getting older.
We just don't believe in taking large losses.
That's right.
Gotcha. Jim, my last question is for you. Variable annuities are safe investments because they are annuities. They have no principal risk. True or false?
False. And this is a real rub when it comes to annuities in general. There's a lot of different types of annuities. They all get thrown into one basket. And that's why there's so much confusion about annuities. And there's a lot of bad press about annuities. Some of it is true. For example, what you just mentioned, with a variable annuity, and there is billions of dollars of variable annuities sold every single year, you do have significant principal risk. Your money is in what are called sub-accounts, like little mutual funds inside that annuity. You have complete downside. You have no market protection whatsoever. You have upside as well, but you have complete downside. With a fixed index annuity, it is different. You don't have any market downside. There's a significant difference between the products. But that's why it's confusing, because everything gets bundled into one big bucket and people are confused about how these different annuities work. It's based on what are you trying to achieve with your money and what's the right product for you right now in your lifespan.
Well, and then with the fixed index annuity, though, you have the negative that you don't have the same type of upside. You're going to get a lower upside when the market goes up, just as going to happen for having no downside when the market goes down.
Everything has a balance. You have advantages and you have disadvantages. It doesn't matter if it's an annuity or if it's in a market or it's in a CD. You have to weigh your advantages and the disadvantages. And what we actually do at our firm, we actually write out all the advantages and all the disadvantages of every single product that a client's going to invest in before they invest their money. So they get it, they understand it. It's in writing. We're accountable. We put it in writing.
Jim, Dan, thanks so much. Do you have it all in writing? Would you like to get more information? Hey, pick up the phone and give us a call right now or go to our website. And don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
You're watching the Peak Financial Freedom Show with Jim and Dan, Sacramento's retirement television.
Are you worried about taking too much risk, paying high fees, creating dependable monthly income, your money running out? You can stop worrying about your money by meeting with a full-service retirement planning firm, not just someone who invests your money. Call right now to receive your free, no-obligation Peak Retirement Navigator review that includes a total fee audit, a risk stress test showing your potential losses, a retirement income analysis showing how long your money will last, and the steps to create a customized written retirement income plan. Our clients typically have between $1 million to $20 million of assets, but if you've saved at least $500,000 for retirement, we will meet with you free of charge to see if we can possibly help. You'll get free educational copies of Mama's Secret Recipe for Retirement Success we co-wrote with Jack Canfield from Chicken Soup for the Soul, and our beautiful, inspiring 100 Shades of Financial Freedom. So don't wait. Call the phone number on your screen right now. You have nothing to lose, there's no pressure, there's no risk, and it's free. And remember, at Peak Financial Freedom Group, we fix your money.
You're watching the Peak Financial Freedom Show with Jim and Dan, Sacramento's retirement television.
Hey guys, great show this week. Thanks so much for tuning in.
If you have any questions or need any help at all, feel free. Give us a call at our office or go to our website.
And remember, at Peak Financial Freedom Group, we fix your money.
The preceding program is sponsored by Peak Financial Freedom Group.